Before the world heard the crackling heat of fire, before the unmistakable groove of Love Roller Coaster shook the radios across America, there was a young man from Hamilton, Ohio that was spirited, determined, and born with a voice that could slice through brass, bass, and drums like a lightning strike. With charisma that burned hotter than the stage lights and a creative fire that never dimmed, this man pushed the Ohio players into national spotlight, leading them through triumph, reinventions, and the unforgettable sound that defined the 1970s funk. But behind the massive hits, the iconic album covers, there was a complicated journey that filled with hardship, resilience, and a relentless hunger for artistic freedom. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Leroy Sugarfoot Boner. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. If you guys would love to connect with me outside of YouTube, then I am officially announcing that I am on Discord. Here, you can provide me with feedback on my recent uploads. You could drop your suggestions for future videos, or if you just want to chat it up about videos or about music in general, or just about anything, we could do it here. We could do it together. I hope to see you there. The link is in the description below. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Before the spotlight, before the platinum records, before the screams of sold out crowds, there was Hamilton, Ohio, a working class town where rhythms lived in the streets and opportunities were scarce. It was here, on March 7th, 1943, that Leroy Boner was born. Young Leroy didn't come from a privileged family. He didn't come from a musical lineage. What he came from was a relentless urge to move, to groove, and to express himself. He taught himself the guitar. No lessons, no teachers, just raw determination, a natural sense of rhythm that couldn't be contained. As a teenager, he left home with more than a guitar and the desire to make something of himself. Out on the road, barefoot, more often than not, he earned a nickname that would follow him for life, Sugarfoot, for the sweet, fast, and funky way he moved across the stage. A star wasn't born, a star was forged. In the early 60s, a group of young musicians in Dayton, Ohio, that was building a reputation as one of the tightest, hard-working funk bands in the Midwest. They called themselves the Ohio Untouchables, and they later renamed themselves the Ohio Players. When Sugarfoot joined the band, everything shifted. His guitar playing wasn't flashy, it was felt. Each chord carried grit and rip. Each riff carried swagger. And there was his voice, brass, railing, growling, and full of attitude. Not only could he play, but he could also command a stage like few others. The Ohio Players didn't just gain a guitarist, they gained a frontman. As the 1970s exploded, the Ohio Players began redefining a sound that no one else could touch. This sound was raw funk, jazz-inspired horn lines and seductive grooves, and a fire that burned with every note. Sugarfoot guitar style was the soul of the rhythm engine. He stitched riffs into pocket grooves, so tight that you could feel your heartbeat syncing with the music. His double-headed guitar wasn't the star, but yet it was everywhere. Under every bass line, behind every horn hit, weaving in and out of the drums like a pulse, with tracks like Pain, Funky Worm, and Skin Tight all carry Sugarfoot's fingerprints. He wasn't just playing the guitar, he was helping building the blueprint for the 1970s funk. Then came 1974, a turning point not only for the Ohio Players, but for the entire funk genre. The band released Fire, and suddenly, the world took notice. The title track, driven by blazing horns and a thumping bass, shot to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, and overnight, the Ohio Players went from cult favorites to superstars. Then came Love Roller Coaster, a funky, feverish, adrenaline rush-fueled song. During the group's live shows, Sugarfoot was unstoppable. Shirtless, sweating, and bursting with charisma, he prowled the stage like a preacher, a warrior, and a showman all in one body. His guitar wasn't a technical spectacle, it was attitude, it was rhythm, it was swagger. Sugarfoot didn't need 100-note solos to prove itself. He let the groove speak for itself. He made the stage feel like a battleground, and the audience always left satisfied. The Ohio Players became known not only for their sound, but for their bold, provocative album covers, art that sparked controversy, but pushed boundaries on what funk could represent in the mainstream culture. Behind the marketing was a band committed to freedom, self-expression, and creative control. Sugarfoot fought hard to keep the Ohio Players' music authentic, uncompromised by labels that wanted something cleaner, safer, and easier to sell. He wanted art, real art, and he never backed down. Success brought challenges, management disputes, label conflicts, personal battles, and the pressures of fame. The group's regular lineup changes, industry politics, and the unpredictable shifts of black music in America. Through it all, Sugarfoot remained the band's anchor, its voice, its energy, and its heart. Even as members came and went, he kept the Ohio Players' spirit alive. He evolved into a mentor, a leader, and eventually a man who's used music to inspire rather than impress. After years of electrifying audiences as the charismatic frontman of the Ohio Players, Sugarfoot stepped into his own solo career with the same unmistakable swagger and creative fearlessness that defined his work with the band. In the early 80s, he released his debut solo album titled Sugar Kiss, showcasing a smoother funk sound that blended with his gritty vocal style. Beyond the studio, Sugarfoot collaborated with a range of musicians across funk and soul, leading his unmistakable voice and musicianship to various productions. Although his solo career didn't reach the commercial heights as his Ohio Player days, it demonstrated his versatility, his ability to adapt to new eras of funk, and the enduring charisma that made him one of the most iconic frontmen in the 70s. By the 90s and the 2000s, Sugarfoot had grown from a fiery young frontman to a well-respected elder in states of funk. He continued performing, recording, and collaborating, bringing the Ohio Players sound to new generations. He embraced his role as a cultural ambassador, speaking about peace, unity, and the power of music. Even as the music world changed, Sugarfoot remained rooted in his values that define him, being authentic, having grit, and most importantly, groove. Sadly, on January 26, 2013, Sugarfoot passed away at the age of 69. His passing marked the end of an era, but not the end of his influence. His voice still blares from radios. His riffs still pump through the dance floors, and his spirit still lives in every musician who embrace freedom, funk, and fearless expression. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by Sugarfoot, or your favorite song by the Ohio Players?